I'm Sándor. I'm co-founder and developer at Banzai Cloud, which was acquired by Cisco. And I'm working mostly with observability stuff, more than 5 years with Kubernetes and Fluentd ecosystem. So yeah, I love open source and observability.
What I love so much about Bonsai Cloud, I was a fan actually of Bonsai Cloud before it was acquired by Cisco. Cisco's booth, by the way, is to the right of me if you're here at the, or coming down to the conference. So you can come down to Garden, where we're here at the booth here, or and just after, you can go and meet our friends at Cisco. It's been amazing to see Bonsai Cloud, how Bonsai Cloud is using open source technologies in the observability space, but really sort of making it easy to get going, because one of the problems with setting up an observability stack that I have encountered as an SRE and as a DevOps engineer is just how complicated it is to get going.
You are right on point. It's complicated. There are a lot of amazing stuff out there, but you have to glue together the whole stack. And it sounds easy, but it's actually really, really complex. And one of the goals of Bonsai Cloud was to make it simply for end users to just, like, for example, we install a logging operator to manage Fluentd. We can install Thanos Operator, which is not Bonsai Cloud, but an open source product as well. We can install Thanos for extending Prometheus. We install OpenSearch for logging backend. We use Loki as well. So a bunch of stuff. And if you try to do it yourself, it will take a lot of time.
I feel like a couple months is not out of the ordinary.
Absolutely, absolutely. But when you start to fiddling around and fine-tuning, we didn't even count it in that way. So, yes. And with Bonsai Cloud, we are passionate about open source. So we try to make the business like we have strong open source building blocks. And on top of that, we can add advanced features for payment and subscription and things like this. And I think it's worked out pretty well. I talked to a lot of people around here, and they just say hi to me and said that, yeah, Thanos Operator have a lot to understand Thanos. They are not using now, but it was the first step to actually, because they started to use their own...
using the Bonsai Cloud Thanos Operator.
Yes, absolutely. So it's really good to hear from different folks that, yeah, we know the IST operator that you do, or yeah, we use the co-operator, like Adobe, for example.
Like what, sorry?
Adobe is using our Kafka operator from Bonsai Cloud. And one of my, because logging operator is my little baby, I'm really proud that the official logging backend of Rancher is logging operator.
Really?
Yes. So if you are using Rancher 2.5 or higher, you are using the logging operator as the backend for logging.
When did Rancher adopt logging operator?
Yeah, I think it's like 1 year ago about, or maybe a bit more, because when we got acquired, they already started using. And they were very nice guys reaching out to us because they had some problems with the Windows containers, so they needed Windows Fluentd and things like this. And actually, we had the support together. So we worked on our part, and they worked on their part as well. It was a really good cooperation. And Rancher has its open source stuff, we have this open source stuff, and we just merged it together. So it's a really good thing that two totally different companies can join together as an open source contributors.
Is the logging operator, what does it consist of actually? What are the sort of, let's say, underlying components, just for people tuning in?
So logging operator actually manages Fluentd and Fluentd under the hood. The Fluentd part is collecting the logs from all the nodes, and the Fluentd aggregates them, and we have a special plugin inside Fluentd, which is the label router, and this is the heart of the logging operator. It can help you distinguish different log flows, and on different log flows like Nginx success log, Apache success log or something, you can apply different filters, and you can route them to different outputs, one or more outputs as well. And I think we try to make this really easy, like using Kubernetes label selectors, some minimal configuration for the filters, and some output configuration. And the thing is that I will have a presentation on Friday. And
are you speaking?
Yes.
Can you tell the audience where they can see you and what time?
Yeah, so it will be on Friday at 11:55, and it will be room F in Pavilion 3.
Okay, in Pavilion 3? In Pavilion 3. Pavilion 3? All right, what are you going to be speaking about at the talk?
Yeah, so the title is Show Me Your Labels, I will tell you who you are.
Show me your labels, I'll tell you who you are.
Yeah, so it sounds like a catchphrase, but I want to actually demonstrate the power behind logging operator and what cool things you can build on top of. So it won't be like a product sales or anything. It will be using logging operator. Initially, just I will describe how it works, and we will build a really cool thing on top of it, but I don't want to spoiler it.
You know, okay. Cool. So now that Bonsai Cloud is a member of Cisco. Sorry, it's because I just interviewed. I work for Garden, and I just interviewed Cisco. So my brain is becoming a logging operator, but it's not attaching the right labels to the various input streams. I need what you have. Can you explain a little bit about how Bonsai Cloud continues to exist within Cisco?
Yeah. So the thing is that we are part of ETNI, which is a fairly new division of Cisco. And
ETNI?
Yes, Emerging Technology and Incubation.
Emerging Technology and Incubation.
Yes, and this is a fairly new part. We are more than 100 people just there. And new startups like Podshift, Epsagon, Banzai Cloud, they acquired a lot of cloud-native startups, and we are building a portfolio together. So from Bonsai, we putting together all the projects for the Kafka, the Istio, and the observability, and it will.
Yes.
The name is
Callisti.app. Okay, Callisti.app.
You can try it out free.
Oh, is that sort of? Would it be fair to say that's all of the Bonsai products together, like sort of emerging as a single?
Yes. So the service mesh, the Kafka, and the observability, all of them are glued together, best from both of the world. And you can try it out, and it's really focused on service mesh now, but we will adding features as we are going toward to integrating the stuff that we wrote, for example, in MCOM.
Okay, yeah, and MCOM was the former One Eye. Yeah. What if you're familiar with Bonsai Cloud previously? This was the former One Eye, which has a really cool CLI tool, by the way. And once Bonsai Cloud was acquired by Cisco, that went through a rebranding and was rebranded to MCOM, which is Multi-Cluster Observability Manager.
Yes, that's right.
We actually, so 2 companies ago, I actually worked closely with Sándor's team to get MCOM up on our stack, and as far as I know, it's still running today. So that's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, because we were talking your colleague.
Former colleague.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So right now, Callisti is just the service mesh component. Is that correct?
Yeah, the service mesh and the Kafka, and we are continuing to adding the MCOM features on top of that as well.
When can we expect a full feature merge?
That's hard to say. We work as fast as we can. Just we can't do everything at once because that would be a really big mess. So I would say in a couple of months, I hope we can show something.
Cool, in a couple of months. Check that out. Is there any sort of new features that users can try today? Or if they go by the Cisco booth, for example, what are they going to be shown? Or?
Yeah, so there are a lot of interesting things, and I mentioned that there are more companies, not just Banzai. So there is a new project, the full stack observability, which is the former Epsagon guys who did a really good work on tracing. So on tracing, yes. And they are building the observability stack from tracing to monitoring and the end of the stack logs. But now, and they can show a really good demo about how the tracing works with their. It's called Telescope.
Okay. What?
It's called Telescope.
Telescope. Oh,
yes.
Telescope. Okay, cool. So Telescope is, let's say, the tracing component of the multi-cluster observability manager?
I would say that the full stack observability will be the new name, and under that we will use MCOM components for logging and metrics.
MCOM components together with Telescope for the tracing?
Yes.
Distributed tracing?
Yes.
Why, for somebody who or a developer out there, for example, in the audience, who doesn't really know what sort of, let's say they're doing logging, maybe using the logging operator, and so they're pulling in logs, they're getting metrics, but they don't really understand let's say the use case of distributed tracing. Can you give kind of like a let's say a bird's eye view, or like for people who aren't so familiar with why they might want tracing?
Yeah, absolutely. So as everybody wants to scale, everybody wants to do microservices, and I think observability of microservices in a distributed system is exceptionally hard. So if you install tracing libraries inside your application, you can trace one request through all the services that's going through and coming the response back. So, for example, Telescope can draw you a really good graph about your request. You have the measurements of how much time it takes to the request to process, and you can actually browse it as well. So it's kind of between metrics and logs, because you have a little verbose metrics, like which service on which pod or which node, processing which request. So it's a really great way to find bugs in your distributed system.
It's kind of like Git blame for for understanding where the,
but it's like for operation Git blame.
For operational sort of things. Yeah. It sounds like a really powerful tool for platform teams out there. It's the platform team at Family, my previous employer, is actually using at least the MCOM component of it. It'll be interesting to see if they end up adopting the broader ecosystem that you guys are building up around. Are you still are the Bonsai Cloud developers, or the developers that have been acquired, are they still contributing back to the open source roots?
Absolutely. This is one of the best things in Cisco ETNI, that we have the freedom of contributing back to the open source. And for example, Logging Operator got a really big momentum in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
We worked a lot, primarily because we have the presentation as well, and there was a lot of issues, and we worked our depth down as much as we could. So yeah, definitely Cisco is really for open source, and there are a lot of guys here, most of them open source contributors.
Wow, it's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. For example, we had a panel discussion this morning with Cisco and AWS folks, and we were talking about OpenTelemetry, and we want to make a really big impact on OpenTelemetry and contributing back on the logging side, because in my opinion, OpenTelemetry has a really good tracing, a mediocre metric part, and the logging is a bit lagging behind of this. And we just published a proposal how to refactor, how to re-architecture the thing to make things available like a logging operator. So you would be able to use OpenTelemetry collector instead of FluentBit.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. And that would it be easy for users to swap out FluentBit for OpenTelemetry?
Absolutely. This is the point, that we have this abstract language that you can use, and you don't even care what is under the hood. And so we want to add more agents that maybe fit your workload more, or have the features that you need for your task.
Well, not to chill too hard for. Well, I think everybody should shill as hard as they can for open source wherever they can. But you may notice a theme to some of the interviewees that I'm bringing on today, and that is that they all have a very strong background in open source. That's also the way that Garden functions, the company that is sponsoring these interviews. The Garden CLI tool is completely open source, permissively licensed under the MPL, the Mozilla Public License. So, if you are using the logging operator, or you're using the Garden CLI, and you're like, God, I really wish this feature existed, or I found a bug, and I know how to fix it, right? You can just come onto our GitHubs, and logging operator is on GitHub.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you can make a commit on your own branch, make a pull request, and and contribute back to the ecosystem. And I think it's a virtuous cycle where developers contribute, the product becomes better, people more people adopt the product as a result. And then if you want the paid features, which are often sort of pivoted more, or let's say sold more for enterprise use cases, you can pay for those features and lighten the load a little bit on your platform teams.
Yeah, I totally agree. That was the business model of Bonsai as well. We wanted the strong open source building blocks. You can use it, and if you have the time, and the effort to do something about it, you can do it. And if you want to like just sit down and wait for the features, yeah, we can do it for money. So I think this is the good thing, that if you need this and you want to change it, feel free, and we will help. Like Rancher wanted the Windows support, we added it.
Wow, right. So Rancher asked, we'd really love Windows support. Can you help us do it?
Absolutely, we did it together.
Wow, that's so cool. I love it. I love it. So, I feel like we've been getting very technical. But how on a lighter note, how has your KubeCon experience been?
Yeah, so Valencia is absolutely amazing. I really like. I had time to eat very fancy, very good food as well. I drank really good wines, and the KubeCon is huge. I mean, I don't remember, like, I was on KubeCon like 2 years ago on site, and I just forgot how big this.
It's a massive event. Do you know what the numbers are?
I think they are saying like about 7,000 people here. And I could say, yeah, that's probably true, because there is this huge exhibition site, and there is another huge exhibition site on the other side.
Right, on the other side, yeah. We're in Pavilion, we're Pavilion 2, and then the other pavilion is Pavilion 3, I think.
Yes, I think. So it's amazing, and I met a lot of guys from open source communities, and this is a really good occasion to just say hi to anybody. And for example, a guy just came to me and thanks for like the operators, and I just want to go to the Thanos booth to say thanks for Bartholomew, because they did an amazing job with Thanos.